2, 1. Welcome, everyone. I will call this meeting to order. It is the September 10, 2025 regular school board meeting of the Glendale-River Hills School District Board of Education. And just in time for roll call is Danielle Bailey.
Said it was coming in. Sorry.
Are you here, Danielle?
I'm here.
Karen Cronwell.
Here.
Katie Avalos.
Here.
Chris Robinson.
Here.
Carla Pennington Cross is here. The entire board is here. Excellent, as always. Moving on to the Pledge of Allegiance. At this time, if you wish to say the Pledge of Allegiance, you may stand and do so.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Am I still on? Agenda approval, item 1D.
I move to approve the agenda.
Second.
All right, motion by Chris Robinson, second by Danielle Bailey to approve the agenda for the meeting tonight. And all in favor? Aye. Agenda is approved. Moving on to 1E, approval of the board meeting minutes for the August 29 special meeting and the August 20 regular meeting. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'm not seeing the August 20th board docs.
They are called 25 board docs for students. It's not bad. I'm seeing that.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah. All right. With no comments, we have a motion by Chris Robinson, second by Karen Cronwell to approve the minutes for August 20 and August 29. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Well, can I abstain from the special?
Oh, because you weren't there. Yes. Okay, minutes are approved. And on to item 1F, meeting grounding.
Oh boy. Big grounded. I'm not late because I was like. Okay, so for the grounding tonight, I wanted to focus on the our first equity non-negotiable. We accept each other. It says our community is uniquely diverse. Each person's identity and worldview is unique and valuable, and we strive to seek out and understand those who are different from us. So the news today kind of got me thinking about this, how it feels like we're constantly bombarded with stories about how our country's so polarized and divided. And the emphasis is constantly on our differences as a detriment, not as a value add. And on top of that, the culture is steeped in this like toxic individualism, this belief that individuals are solely responsible for their success or failure and shouldn't rely on others for help. And it feels like these external forces create barriers to seeing ourselves in others, to finding meaningful connection. It creates the impression that we are not responsible for the ways we impact one another. And it fuels our hustle culture, our aversion to rest or slow down. It fuels apologies for delayed emails or dropping balls because life has happened. It can fuel violence and hate and discrimination. It can lead to mental and emotional struggles as people feel more and more isolated and alone. Okay, that's one thought. I'm gonna tie this together. There's a term called sonder that I love. And sonder is the profound realization that every passerby has a life as complex, vivid, and central to their own existence as your own. It's the feeling that everyone around you is the main character of their own story. You're just an extra. They have their own dreams and struggles and intricate experiences. When this feeling finds you, it can be really profound, and it helps us to see ourselves in others and to accept others as they are. So tying it back together a little bit, right? Carla responded to an email I wrote today where I apologized for dropping a ball because life happened. My wife's been in the hospital for 2 weeks, and I've been focusing on keeping things afloat with her gone. And she proposed, hope I get this right, more or less, that we all stop apologizing, that as a board norm, we all stop apologizing for having challenges or difficulties in our lives. We all have them. And not apologizing for pausing to prioritize them, and that by doing that, we'd be encouraging self-acceptance and also grace for one another, for all of us. So accepting each other and ourselves, our first equity non-negotiable. And I was just, so it's all coming together and I'm like, well, that's an amazing thing to strive for, as awkward as it would feel to not apologize for dropping some, dropping a ball. And what an amazing culture to strive to create in our district, because it exists in direct opposition to these cultural tendencies to see difference as a detractor and seeing ourselves as individuals, not part of a wider like relational ecosystem. So tying it together, I think that first equity non-negotiable we accept each other is asking us to sonder, to reach this profound realization that each of us have a life as complex and intricate as our own. Our dreams and struggles and experiences may wildly differ from person to person, but they hold value. And if nothing else, the fact that we each have these things, we all dream, we all struggle, that alone can be what connects us. So the other way it ties in is I see evidence of it all throughout our agenda tonight, accepting each other in a curriculum plan that encompasses high expectations for all and prioritizes equitable access, because we all need different things to succeed. We are discussing a student code of conduct where it's obvious in the current iterations that as a district, we value finding ways to repair harm as a community and bringing people into the fold as opposed to ostracizing them and emphasizing difference. And then we have resolutions that recognize unique identities that are often underrepresented in public school curriculums. And we're giving them value, right, by recognizing them. So tonight just felt like a good time to highlight that idea of accepting and valuing our differences with everything going on in the world, and to just say that I'm grateful to be part of this team that is working so hard to embody our values and ideals in everything we do.
Wow. Thank you, Ray. Yeah. Just sit with that for a minute.
Ding, ding. Ding.
I don't have the ding dong bowl. Yeah, I keep forgetting that. It lives in a Ziploc bag outside my back. Thank you. All right, moving on to public comments, item 2A on our agenda. At this time, visitor may speak on any non-agenda item if you wish.
The pressure.
You do not have to. Anyone online?
There are people online, but no comments.
You're good?
Okay, Michelle Sarcy, 6525 North Range Line Road, Glendale, 53209. And I'm not sure if it's a board or an Anna question. Can we somehow get at Good Hope School, because it seems to be a different dynamic building there? Who to call or who to go to for things? I don't know if that's a board thing or exactly who to go, because just a little confused on a couple of things, the fire inspection. I got the report. Who do I go to?
That should be going through the business office through Michelle.
Okay, to do repair, just so, people are coming to me, oh, we need this, or we need,
Yeah, that's
so if we just had like a chain of.
Michelle and Kevin are the two people. So Kevin's the lead custodian in that space, and then Michelle would be.
So go to Kevin, tell him things, and then he'll pass it. Okay, because people are just asking, we had a chain of like who to do.
Yeah, we can send that out.
What
We
and
can
everything.
clarify that with.
Okay, so that's,
Happy to do that.
contact and everything.
Yep, 100%.
Great question.
Yeah, it is a great
It was
question.
that,
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't quite sure. At all.
You're here, might as well.
You're
Yes.
here, great question.
It is a great
Thank
question. I want there to be clarity there.
Yeah, and they come to me and that's great, but who do I go to
Yeah.
for this and that?
All right, moving on to 3A, Student Code of Conduct Committee.
All right, so in the pillar of full child growth and success, I placed in there information about our student code of classroom conduct, which is policy 5500. My intent in bringing this to the board tonight is that in order to kind of live this out in our schools, we have had information in our student and family caregiver handbook, as well as what's in the policy, and it's very, those two places, it's very vague and reads very much like the policy. And then in order to make that kind of come to life, both schools have developed matrices as well as like behavior response and support documents as well on how we support students when they don't meet those expectations. A key component of the policy is that it should be the code of conduct should be developed by a committee that's created by the board. For that reason, consisting of parents, students, board members, and school administrators, teachers, student service professionals, and other appointed residents. I don't believe that this has ever been a practice in our policy, and it's one that we think that we should probably embark on, especially as we're doing our work around multiple levels of systems of support. So I know that next week during our parent universities, both principals at both buildings will be reviewing some of these things with parents, and it would be an excellent opportunity for them to maybe solicit some members, but I just kind of wanted to get board direction and input, feedback, and discussion around moving forward in this way to develop a committee for this purpose.
Did this requirement exist before that we have a committee, or is this a new Neola policy?
I think it's in our Neola policy. I think, you know, in past practice, I mean, there's. I think feedback from internal stakeholders has been in the development of those
Yeah.
things just as part of practice, but I don't know that we've intentionally involved external stakeholders in the development of that, and our students exist in a bigger ecosystem in our community, so I'd like to have that input.
Sorry, go back to my order of things, Chris, go around the table.
Well, I'm not really sure what I have a number of things about what's written. And I don't know that is this the time for that?
No,
Just ideas? No.
I
Okay.
think it's more about the direct, like, the
Yeah.
committee
Should we
itself,
have a-
right? That's how I understand.
Yeah, I guess if
talking about.
you would like me to bring committee, like to work on like, you know, having a committee thinking about maybe who board representation would be on that committee. And starting to consider, you know, kind of outreach around that and then bringing those names forward for the board for who voted that committee specifically.
So it would be similar to an advisory.
Yes, it would be like a citizens advisory committee, but it would be, and it is a board appointed committee, so it's like one of those things where I wanna kind of get. Your feedback discussion around who you think should be involved in that, like so who are critical members that we would like to see as a part of that.
But you had specific comments about the code of conduct itself. Or,
Well, about the matrices,
Ah, yeah.
some of them I think have probably already happened, but not recorded. Yeah, I don't think this is the time, because that's not what we're really talking about.
but on the other hand, you know. If you're interested in this stuff, perhaps you would be a member of the committee,
I would,
right? So that might be something
Are
that,
you just looking for clarification on the matrices?
I can give you sort of a sample.
Yeah,
Okay, like, for, possession of alcohol, drugs, tobacco, I'd also like to see like a student health assessment or education on that. I suspect if somebody sees the need, that's already done. But it's not in here. I have concerns about the, for inappropriate displays of affection, putting the consensual and non-consensual in the same place. I would do a parent meeting, after bullying and harassment, cause it seems like the theft, destruction of property is taken a little more seriously, just the way this is written. So those are like some of my comments.
yeah, and I think like those comments are the comments that I'd like to elicit a committee of people to look
Okay.
at, so that we are really kind of getting after some of those
Yeah.
concerns that
Right.
might rise.
Uh-huh.
And so the part of the work that the principals will be doing is collecting some of that feedback from families around that. However, I think having a committee that's directed to kind of refine that is gonna have more legs than just some feedback in a session.
Right, for
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah,
I think it would be fabulous if a board member who's also a teacher. And a parent. And was the representative to that committee, but, you know, I think, yeah, no pressure, but.
so what I will do then with the board's direction is I can work on putting together like a series of like what community dates would look like and then we can work on soliciting members and then bring that back to the board with a specific charge. Yeah, okay.
Keith?
I think a committee is an excellent idea.
I just have questions about like the scope or how you envision like how many members, if you have an idea. But also the scope, so like a code of classroom conduct, we have the student handbook and the matrices and the behavior flow charts. So have you thought about what a committee would actually like? Are they examining what currently exists and we're asking them to refine it? Are we asking them to create a student code of classroom conduct from, fresh, or would they have the power to do that, just
Right.
like, how do you see this committee?
So when we look at an actual code of conduct as kind of an overarching, I think like those specific pieces of what that looks like would be something that's there. I would want the committee to really think about what is that overarching expectation, knowing that our students vary from age to age, right? So it's gonna developmentally be on a very wide scope, right? But having a general consensus around what that code of conduct looks like. So within here, it's like respect for law and persons in authority shall be expected of all students. Like I would want that language looked at by a committee to say, like, what does that code of conduct look like? And I think it opens up to an opportunity to think about, like, does that become just a code of conduct for students or is it an overall code of conduct? And so those are some things that I think that committee could explore. So I don't necessarily see the committee, I think giving input on the matrices and responses is important to inform the schools about that work. But I think the overall code of conduct would be looking at how do we revise what's sitting here in this policy so it's tailored to the values of our district and our community.
How do we revise? Sorry, so it'd be creating something that currently doesn't exist, that lives over the matrices and the.
It exists in the policy. I mean, the policy has a general code of conduct to it about what we expect.
Okay,
And I think that's the part that I would like to have the committee work on revising.
respect, so the policy itself, you want them to revise. Ah, okay. Oh, okay.
Right, this is saying the policy itself specifies that this committee would develop a code of conduct.
Yeah, so to me, what's listed in our policy is a very vague code of conduct that I think could be more reflective of our values as a district, our strategic plan, our equity non-negotiables, and community value.
I guess
So the policy says, the code of conduct shall include the following items. So whatever they write would have
what
to,
concept?
Yeah.
that would have to include at least A, B, and C.
Unruly behavior.
Yep.
Okay.
So
So they're gonna come up with, okay, so I guess, rewriting a policy to me is different than creating this is the outline for a code of conduct. And my concern would just be to think about how whatever they create will overlap with these things or contradict if they're not included like as part of the process. Or just the committee should know how whatever they're creating is meant to interact with these things.
absolutely.
But I don't think that this is asking for a committee to be created to rewrite policy 5500.
I wouldn't say they're rewriting the policy, but they're defining the code of conduct, right?
Right, and that code of conduct will be like the umbrella, I
Mhm.
think, that sits over these matrices and flow charts around behavior.
So right now you have 5 Panther 5 words, right? We have 3. The Glen Hills Way has 3 components to it about kind of how we define code of conduct or
Right.
how we boil down what we consider to be what we need students to do and be like in a school setting for the
Right.
safety of others, right? And for teaching and learning to exist. So I think having a committee work on that larger overarching piece allows those other pieces to fall up underneath that, if that makes sense, Danielle.
It does, I worry about how they're gonna talk to each other, because if you take a specific example here, socially rude, that's a a specification of what constitutes disruptive or unruly behavior. So if you get a committee that says we want to specify it as this particular behavior, or like, I'm just processing this. So that's my like sort of initial thought or concern is like, we just have to be very clear about their scope of work when it comes back to us. Done.
Yeah, I think, my thought as you were talking was, it's probably premature to be thinking about how it's all gonna be fitting together. I think you need to do the work of figuring out who the membership is and
Scope.
yeah, I mean, I know that something we've talked about is this idea that it's really, to me, I've always felt like it's hard to move from one school to another. There's sort of this different idea. I'm gonna work on these 5 things until I'm in 3rd grade. Now I'm gonna work on these 3 different things. The words are different. The ideas feel different, you know, there's like a you know, it just feels like, and I don't know how it works in the schoolhouses, how that transition is made. So when I looked at this, I thought, here's a chance to create a single umbrella vision of what our expectations are for our children, from here to there. You know, a single vision through a single committee that I assume would include teachers from both
That's right.
schoolhouses, right? For like a first time, right? It'll be kind of the first time that that's happening, which is very cool. So kind of excited by that. And then, for me, I guess my question is, what kind of process calendar would we be looking at? Maybe a year? Or,
I would think, yeah, I think you would need a good year. You'd probably want to spread out some meetings and
Yeah.
have some focused topics on that. With feedback on the process too, and then.
so would your next step be then for us to come back in a couple months with a proposal,
Mhm,
like a
yeah.
really firm proposal?
Yeah.
and a membership proposal and all that?
Yep.
Okay. Awesome. I love it. Another piece of the structural puzzle. Yeah. Anyone else? Other comments? Visitors? Thank you, Anna.
Can I say just one?
Yes, please.
And also maybe think about what data they need in order to get them on the same.
Or I was gonna think education around like.
Yeah, well, that's
bias
that's a
and
better,
discipline
yeah,
as well.
yeah, it's better than data, yeah, that's what I was going.
I think too, some like key examples of what a code of conducts look like in other settings
Yeah.
too. So that
Yeah.
can help frame the thinking around that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, I mean, a lot of schools have things that are very vague like this, like you're just gonna be responsible and respectful kind of things, but.
Right.
There may be ways that we can incorporate some of the values of our community into that in a better way, and maybe in a way that also translates across adult behavior too.
I love the idea of a code of conduct that's universal. That's not just about kids, but about everyone.
Yeah.
We should all be meeting the same standards and same expectations, so
I mean,
it's a neat idea.
yeah, and I wonder about the equity non-negotiables and how they fit as a.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they're, yeah.
Okay. More work for you guys. More
Yeah.
work. Excellent. Good work. Good work, but still. Another committee. Yay.
It's kind of nice though.
Yeah, it's
Like
great.
to. Ways for people to access the community and have a voice.
Yes. All right, and another new piece of the institutional puzzle, 3B curriculum development plan.
All right, I will have Jenica Stick update the board with an overview of the curriculum development plan for recommended adoption per policy 2210. And this is probably a new report that you have not seen before that you'll be adopting, so. Helps clarify the curriculum development process that we use in our district.
I'm just gonna do some highlights of the report. There's a lot of meat in there, so I'm gonna kind of skip through the executive summary and philosophy. And just kind of do some highlights. So really thinking about with our program evaluation review cycle, we work on that with the partner districts, so we really think about our students going to Nicolay. So we want to come up with those priority standards by grade level. For our students, we're gonna be accessing Nicolay. for high school. So within there, I kind of listed out kind of some of our next steps, like focus areas that we're currently working on for the 25-26 school year. Right now, based off of the last time I was here, we talked through those ELA curriculum goals. We started work on that already just this week and had some great meetings around that. So that's kind of an evaluation. Right now, we're looking at that 95% in our middle school HMA 6th through 8th grade curriculum. Mathematics, we're in the implementation phase. Science, we're going to be starting in November. We're going to be starting a curriculum review process with our partner districts on that. Social studies will be in the implementation this year. It'll be an understand phase next year. So we'll be going curriculum reviews for social studies next year. New standards are supposed to be coming out in spring. And then health and human growth and development is also going to be on curriculum review this year. New health standards just came out. So we'll be looking at that and creating a comprehensive committee to work with partner districts on that. We already have a couple volunteers from our internal curriculum team, our committee that we've been working on this last school year with. So a couple of our community members are going to be joining Nicolay, Foxrun Bayside, and Mapleville team. So, which is great. I'm also thinking about alignment and compliance. So all our courses are aligned with the Wisconsin academic standards. We work on that curriculum alignment through that evaluation review cycle. I added some products down there. So starting in 21-22, kind of when I rolled into this role, we started the curriculum review process and our products are included in there. So you can kind of see what all that vertical alignment of those priority standards are. So within our instruction within our classrooms, that's the grades that are reported out on report cards. So that's kind of what we're monitoring for students. Something new is the SEL priority competencies. Those aren't standards, but they're competencies. The SST team did a lot of work around that and came up with the SEL priority competencies. And then last year we didn't have any curriculum review because we had Act 20. So we took a pause just to get that up and rolling. So you can see what's on the docket for this coming year. Again, science, health, and human growth and development. We started a district curriculum site. Listed in that section are all our core courses and our allied arts, music, world language by grade bands. And then we also have some student selected courses for students in 7th and 5th grade as well. The district curriculum site is a work in progress. So as we start developing those scope and sequences, they're put on the site. So they're going to be added to each year. When we think about the statutory instruction, financial literacy is one, the Holocaust and genocide studies. And I listed where we have it within our curriculum, so you can kind of see it on there. Financial literacy is a growth area for us that we need to do gap analysis around. Those standards are more like wants and it's kind of embedded in some of the things we do, but we need to determine exactly where it's happening. Full growth and development. We've added some reading time over at Parkway Elementary. We added an academic resource class. We've been working on those SEL character education and Glen Hills Way. The counseling department and as counseling department created an academic and career planning plan that they've been deploying. And we've also been doing Kelly and I have been working on some work around SEL essential standards competencies. So we'll be working with teachers to create ICANN statements, rubrics, success criteria rubrics, and then also planning how we're going to integrate that throughout the curriculum. So instead of a standalone, how are we doing this all day, every day? And where it all connects. Also, there's those elective offerings, enrichment, and then our PLT teams are so important. That's where we really drill down because students change class by class, year by year. And that's where the magic happens. That's where the teachers are actually looking at who's in their class and then determining, okay, these students already know it. These students aren't there yet. What are we going to do? Thinking about the students in their class right now, we're working on all belonging, learning all about our students, their interests and all of that. So that helps guide some of that work they do in their class. So that's kind of a really important piece, and both schools have time slotted for all content areas and grade level teams to do this work. So that's a really important piece. Programming, so I added a couple links in there on some of our programming. So when we look at tech ed enrichment, Jen's class, all of that is located in there. I also added the art class, so you can kind of see what's all happening in art, with all that executive functioning and advocating for yourself and all those pieces, to help some of our students. Human growth and development, we're adding some resources and group supports with that this year. We've been doing some work around those instructional practice guides as well, that we started in our curriculum review process. And then when we think about the research and continuous improvement, whenever we do a curriculum review, we try to bring somebody in from the outside. So this year we'll have Kevin Anderson from DPI coming out, so he's in charge of science for DPI, so he'll be doing some training with the staff that are taking part with that, and the community members and parents around science. And going through the standards, just so everyone has a clear understanding of what the standards are. In the past, we've had CISA do some math work, and had different people help support that process. Professional learning, I've kind of talked quite a bit about the professional learning that's going to be happening, and we also, Kelly and I will report out on that too in our PD session. Let's see, oh, and we have our staff doing some training with CISA, so we're doing an MLSS behavior universal training series. So we have teachers from both buildings that are taking part in this, and this is also supporting the school's improvement plans. So this is really supportive of all the work that's all aligned with our strategic plan and our focus on belonging. And then for next steps, it's that curriculum reviews that we're going to be going through. That evaluation phase for the ELA 95% in middle school, so that'll be reported out again to you. The music department, I've been doing some work this summer with them on standards and priority standards and vertical alignment. So we're working on getting everything ready to be put on that curriculum site for that. In 26-27, so forecasting out, we're going to be looking at financial literacy gaps and then a possibility of changing like a middle school class, a possibility of having a class around that. Also inventorying our out of classroom experiences. So when we think about our field trips, what we're offering after school and all of that, and how does that align to standards? And that's also aligns with our KPIs for our strategic plan. And then updating that curriculum site, that'll be a yearly activity. And as we build the curriculum, we'll continue to update that site. And then also gathering more feedback from staff, families, and community around curriculum. So when we think about that curriculum review cycle, when we're going into evaluate, how are we getting more voices heard of how the curriculum's going? Like having conversations with students, having conversations with families, like what supports do you have? And that's going to be one of our spotlights for our October parent night, is we'll be sharing out some information, 95%. Kind of an overview of where we sit with curriculum currently.
Thank you, Erica. So this is one that is proposed as something that we would adopt. The plan report, right? The report that you provided, yeah. So if anyone would like to, let's make a motion, let's start with that, and then we can discuss. That sound good?
I move to adopt the 2025-26 curriculum development plan as presented.
Second. Okay. Motion to adopt 25-6. Sorry, guys. Today, or yesterday, I learned that it is a good thing that I keep these notes.
That's right.
Especially it's the curriculum plan, not a curriculum development.
Yes, it's
So,
there's like, I would just get something like that.
Curriculum
Yeah.
development plan. Okay. All right, we'll start with Katie. Questions, thoughts?
This is a really impressive document, and it's really nice to see it all laid out and explained very clearly. Bravo. That's why I have a lot of questions, but
Yeah, we just wanted to make sure that we had transparency on the doings of the district.
much appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, I would just add, I took a look at the ARC programming in particular, and I was really excited. I mean, that executive functioning component is so essential. There are so many students who just really need explicit instruction in that, so I'm really glad it's launched, and I'll be interested to hear how it goes. And I really also appreciated the website and how clear it is to navigate to the grade level and be able to see, you know, what it is that's happening. And even be able to preview as a parent, like what the likely strategies and content are that my kids need to have. So that was nice. Thank you.
You could see it. I didn't see it. I had to request access.
Really?
View all the things.
These things?
Is it, yeah, but do I need to be signed into my, Glendale-River Hills, just like on the back end right now? No. All right, Boomer, back, okay. Yeah, that's, anything else?
Thank you.
Daniel? ARC is for what grades?
6, 7, and 8.
6, 7, 8, and is it something they choose? Like, they select to be in it, or is it something they're like steered into?
Or steered currently.
It's like a study hall, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's, well,
Sort of.
there are actually, there's a lot of lessons and instructions with it,
okay.
so no.
Structured.
It's very structured and students walking away with skills that they can transfer within all their other classes.
It is a universal, I'm sorry, it's a universal design class, right? Like it would be, obviously any class could be available, but if this is a really good example of a universally designed class where somebody might be like, ooh, this kid could really use this
Right.
as a way to fulfill a need at a multi-tiered level.
Yes, so it's not necessarily based on academics.
It's avid like.
It is
Based on their,
Very much.
is it based on their executive functioning?
I think it's teachers have suggested students that may benefit from it, so teacher recommendation.
Big for here too.
No, sorry, I just, that was just not in the, that's very aside. Do you think that when we, if we approve, that you would update just for it to say curriculum development plan and then update the executive summary to say development instead of management as well?
Oh,
Just in a final like version? Okay, I feel like just dumb, so I was hoping you could kind of help me, like you say reviews, like something's in a review cycle. And then the policy talks about a sequential curriculum plan, which is like building upon like curriculum from before, is that right?
like grade level, like every grade level, it's like
Building
comprehensive.
upon, okay.
So when you look at some of those like vertical alignments of those priority standards, you can kind of see how things build across. So
Okay,
in kindergarten, they're learning this, then they're learning it all the way through onto high school.
okay, so then, cause when I think of curriculum, I think of like materials or like 95%, but then, our curriculum website, like, it's more like scope and sequence. So when we're like approving this curriculum development plan, is the curriculum contained within that we are approving scope and sequence? Like what things they're learning versus like what materials we're using to teach the things?
I think it's more the process of how we get to determine those specific curriculum adoptions that would then be brought to the board for approval. Does that make sense?
But is it like an actual program? That we, cause like, I'll tell you, like, I think we've approved Candor in my time. Candor was like something that was a pilot, thing, and then maybe 95, I think was brought to us, but it wasn't like something we approved. It was like,
It's piloting, so we're in the evaluation
Okay.
phase this year, so
Okay.
then if we decide, like, this is
what we wanna do, then it'll come to the,
Yeah.
okay.
And the same thing for the middle school curriculum, we'll determine that. We haven't changed like our math curriculum, we haven't done any changes to that.
I see this as a process document.
Yeah.
This is not a substance document.
Yeah.
We're not approving every piece of curriculum that's linked to it.
Right,
We're approving the process that's contained in here.
I know, I'm just.
Yeah.
I'm trying to understand the process because the terms confuse me. So when you, the evaluate years, the PAPE years, those are, is that when you say we're in a review cycle? Is that what you're referring to? Cause it seemed like you were
We're
using.
evaluating whether or not. Some of that, the 95% is a little different because of Act 20. So we're not necessarily exactly on the other districts with that. So for evaluate, that's where we're determining whether or not what's happening with that curriculum is successful for our students. So we're getting feedback from staff, from the students, staff, students, families, all of that. We're getting feedback and we're looking at the data. So right now we're in a pilot for 95% in ELA, so that's why we're in the evaluate phase.
Okay.
Also determine that we would do that as well when we shared that curriculum, ELA curriculum review process.
So is the blue understand these standards when you get together with partner districts and
Yeah.
review how the materials or the program is working?
Yeah, we start looking at the standards. So number one, we start looking at a gap analysis. The first thing we do is a gap analysis to determine whether or not our current curriculum is covering the standards. A lot of this is driven by DPI when new standards come out. So we have some new standards around health, so we need to determine whether or not our current curriculum is covering those standards within our classrooms. So that kind of is kind of the driver behind some of this, or if there's a need. So with, for example, health, we'll be looking at those new standards. We'll be taking it back to teacher teams to look at whether or not we have some gaps within our curriculum. Then we bring it back to the team that's all working at Nicolay or here. We'll determine where. And then we start looking at that gap analysis. We start looking at the standards. We determine a vertical alignment, so we have that comprehensive plan as to what's going to be taught, what standards are going to be taught in kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. So that's kind of our comprehensive plan, determining those standards.
Okay.
Then each district can pick their own curriculum. We don't all have to have the same curriculum, but then we bring it back to the school, determining what curriculum we're gonna pilot or try.
Okay. I'm okay, sorry, just the commit, so like the partner plan outlines like the selection committee or review committee, like are those part of what you're talking about? Like are the partner, like you getting together with other people, is that the review committee or the select, like?
Sometimes if there's not a lot of curriculums out there like the health or something
Yeah.
like that, we might do a selection committee that's combined with partners, but the team would decide that.
Okay,
A lot of times we just bring it back to the school or the
Okay.
district,
okay,
and then our teachers are part of that
okay,
curriculum.
so it's internal, usually
Yeah,
staff
yeah.
only, okay,
Because we have our equity lens that we need to look, there's different pieces and everyone's a little different on the curriculum that they're gonna pick. To meet the needs of students within their district. So we want the flexibility to do that, but we're all making sure that we're teaching to those priority standards with whatever curriculum you choose.
okay. And are families and students involved in the curriculum review process, like through surveys, or how are they part of the?
There'll be a Google form that'll be coming out
Okay.
asking if people would like to take part in that science, health, and human growth and development
Okay,
curriculum review. I just asked the committee members
yeah,
because
yeah,
they already asked about it.
yeah,
There'll be a Google form coming out in one of the Thursday folders. If people
Okay.
are interested, so that's what we've done in the past, is a Google form sharing their interests. We share the dates when we're gonna be meeting, and then if people have interest to attend.
do you track who's been on committees, like previous, like, do we have a, like, would you know who was on a committee last year, or the year before, or?
We had no one last year, but I can pull them out. The people who left.
Well, I just think it'd be good to like have as
Yeah.
a document, so it's like, we know when we looked at this, we know who looked at it.
Yeah, we
that
have,
kind of thing.
we have a list.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I have 2 sorry, sorry.
Yeah.
This is, okay,
Yes, we do track that.
okay. Are STEAM, tech, and art, talent development, are those part of the evaluation process, or those are just kind of like, are those like, what do you call them? Yeah, I mean, do we evaluate those, are those considered like instructional, like a course of study for our kids, or are those kind of like kind of like you said?
We're aligning those to standards. It's not like we don't have a vertical alignment from the K through 12. And we don't have them on a curriculum review cycle.
Okay,
But it is something that like even like with some of the music and then like with Dan and Jen, I want to do some work with the two of them, just so that we're doing some alignment even just between them. And then also looking at Nicolay, what is Nicolay offering when we back plan some of that, because Nicolay just, they're beefing some of their stuff up, right? So we have to look at what they're doing and work together with Nicolay around that with multiple curriculum reviews this year. It's really not feasible to do all.
Yes.
This year.
Nicolay has an ELL curriculum, and is that, it's just the high school, and I was wondering like if we have an English language learner curriculum.
I'm not aware that they have a curriculum.
Oh,
It's a support and intervention.
it's just in there, it's in the, it's in the,
They evaluate their ELL like processes and stuff.
Oh,
So that's
oh.
not, like if that section on there for Nicolay,
right,
Like
like
when you
the
think
high,
about-
high schoolers said that.
yeah, it's not a curriculum.
Okay,
It's just, it's more of their programming, like they're checking how their systems work.
my last question. So I think I've asked for this before, but I don't know, it's like, if I'm a parent and I want, like, and I wanna ask, like, what are the textbooks, what are the actual instructional materials that we're utilizing for whatever grade, whatever class? Is there a repository or a list of like the materials that have been like board approved or or something to that effect?
I don't have a straight list of
'Cause I
everything,
know
but
you came in, you've been trying to compile.
But within the site, on each of those documents,
The scope and the sequence of
on the scope and sequence, it's a link to what's being used.
Oh, okay.
Within that course.
Right, there's a primary resources used,
Oh,
for
okay,
instance.
okay.
There's a link to the material.
I'm sorry, for some reason I couldn't.
Yeah.
So and actually, I'm having the same problem. So like, so going in and clicking, not everything is actually coming up. So, yeah, I'm thinking,
I'm successfully accessing.
Well, are you looking at the
random files.
early, go like K4? Okay, well, anyway, so, okay, that's, so the source of the curriculum of the scope and sequence is in
So
there.
everything
Okay.
that we have currently done
Okay,
is in.
okay.
So for K4, it says bridges, there's no link, you know what the primary resource is. So
Okay.
bridges.
When we just started.
And will it list, pilots too? Like,
We
if you were
just-
piloting something?
We just started adding the 95% in there.
Okay.
Last year, they didn't finish all the curriculum, so this year, coaches are working on.
Okay, thank you, Jennifer, sorry, I should have been more prepared with any questions in
No,
advance, but.
No, they were very good questions.
Thanks.
Many of my questions have already been answered. I love the website, the link threes with the.
Yeah, I'll double check all those.
It's just really neat. It's really clean, like you said.
yeah,
It's great.
it's gonna be great. I think.
It's gonna be.
It's to Danielle's point, I think there are some like corrections that haven't been said.
Couple broken ends.
I don't know what's up with the ladies. Everything I'm looking at is there. On the curriculum feedback, I love that you use the word deploy. In there is none, but, it sounds
So
like
it's a pronoun words.
It's always like deployment.
I don't think I noticed that you were seeking feedback on curriculum from families, and I think it's excellent, because often families are able to articulate, especially in the younger grades, if you have families that are caregivers who are participating in learning, can often provide feedback. Because they're observing how their kids are working kind of one-on-one at home. And what I thought about as I looked at that is, it's great to give curriculum feedback generally, but it would also be great to find a way to make sure teachers get that feedback as the year is going, because a particular teacher with a particular child hearing back from a caregiver, this is another way to access information when the caregiver might not feel comfortable for whatever reason, going directly to the teacher. So it's something that maybe you can think about, whether there's a way to sort of normalize finding a way to get that feedback back to the classroom teacher so they can work directly with the student on whatever the need is. That was just something that crossed my mind. And all my other questions were answered, partly by seeing things that Danielle had that I didn't know. Side note, I was wondering, is the board gonna see the school improvement plans, or do you perceive that as sort of an in-house, not for our eyes kind of document?
Yes, they're really focused on whole child growth and development, so you're gonna see what they're doing in those school improvement plans as we pull that information in through to whole, cause that's their strict focus, they're not looking
Right.
at all of the pillars, they're just
Right.
looking at whole child growth and development, but
Okay.
yes, they've written their goals and stuff like that, so I can share that with you.
Okay. I was thinking that, like, if we do a November workshop, which we'll talk about later, where we're talking about like board work and board focus and board goals, we could look at KPIs, and if it were appropriate, maybe look at the see the work people are doing in the schoolhouses, and then position ourselves where we belong for, where we can support our completely random thoughts. Chris, sorry.
Thank you for this. I really appreciate the long-term planning, the way you laid it out. But I love the SEL focus throughout. That sounds just really innovative and appreciate the opportunities for such broad input. Thank you. Thank you, Michelle.
Anyone else? Anything else? Thank you, Jenica. Yes, awesome. Oh, there's a pending motion.
Yeah.
Right. There's a pending motion by Part Bromwell, second by Katie Avalos, to adopt the.
I
Oh,
just,
sure.
I'll just change that to develop. Oh, yeah. It says draft, so you can follow. Yeah.
Was there any other, do we have any other comment?
I asked.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So there's a pending motion to adopt the 25 to 26 curriculum development plan. Motion by Karen Bromwell, second by Katie Avalos. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you.
See you soon.
Moving on to the board resolutions. This is a discussion only item for today. All 13 are contained in the Googs folder that I created. I'm very proud of myself. I even double checked earlier today and made sure there are in fact 13 resolutions. I want to thank each of you for kicking in what you could and helping us get all of these updated. And so we're here just for discussion on this. Part. Any thoughts, questions, comments, anything you want to say about any of this?
No. I mean, I do think. It's important for us to have a slate of resolutions early on, so that staff, if, you know, the expectations that are placed on staff to carry them forward. Are reasonable, and so I'm glad we're doing it.
Danielle?
Is it weird that we didn't do one for women's history? That's like board development, or like when is there?
I
don't know.
These have come up I'd say these have come up ad hoc
Right.
over the years, so
I
if
know.
it was one you wanted to add, you
I
could
didn't know, but I was
write
like,
it and add it.
reinforcing the binary. I didn't know how I felt about it, honestly, so it was just.
Yeah,
No, that's sort of a facetious question. I like all of them, and I think. What would we be doing? We'd be approving them as a slate of resolutions the next time they come around
at the next meeting.
at the next meeting.
If I have your permission, I would go through and I would fine tune them to make sure the names are all right. I know I could. And to sort of normalize the formatting and the titles so they all look the same.
Yeah.
So I would do that between now and then.
Mhm.
I'm hoping today if anyone has any substantive concerns or.
I don't have any substantive concerns. And just to your point, Karen, about expectations, I think the expectations, in my opinion, are baked into like all of the other documents we use in our district, you know, or the curriculum development plan. And I kind of see our resolutions as like acknowledging, again, these like the uniqueness of our community and inviting people to like, you know, I don't think any of them like really mandate much. They just basically embody the values we already have espoused elsewhere. It's like the work of that, acknowledging that, and then, you know, an invitation to people to learn more, dive deeper, or celebrate or acknowledge, so. I hope people wouldn't feel like it's a burden, you know, that they have to do things. It's probably, yeah, anyway, that's it.
Yeah, I think one thing, I can't remember who in some conversation, I think it might have been with Chris, we were talking about the idea that if we do this now, and I think you had mentioned, I mean, we had this sort of dream that students and staff would participate in this resolution. So one thing we talked about was the possibility of, like, say, a summer academy class for upper class people, where they could look at these resolutions and do some work.
Older students in the district, I think, right?
Yeah, upper class people, right? Like maybe 6th through 8th grade, that's why I said that. Oh, not like high schoolers, no,
Not like lower club, or even like.
No, no.
And in general, we mean older grades.
not in a caste CAST system, but I mean older students, right? Where it would be cool to create that opportunity to get students directly engaged in looking through these resolutions, seeing what's missing and what doesn't belong. Apropos of your question, like, should there be a women's resolution? I mean, I don't know, we're not in that zone of the lives of students, we're just boomers or whatever gens we're in, and so, I don't know, something maybe you can think about. Maybe that's an area for participation, so it's not just us, but I love these resolutions. I remember this started with Danielle. You proposed one long ago, and then it's just sort of grown, and I do think them in my mind as rainbow resolutions, as invitations to belong. And I feel like they're an appropriate policy level statement of sort of reflecting our non-negotiables and inviting people, so that if a student, say, an LGBTQ student or a neurodiverse, neurospicy student is like, I don't fit, you know, where the way we've all felt, that someone as the last resort can say, you know, from the very top down, our community embraces you, welcomes you. Here's a resolution we passed. This is the voice of our community, because each of us was elected on very clear values. So to me, that gives me the shivers. It's just so cool, because these are community statements through us. So I appreciate that you're all committed to them.
I'm reviewing these again.
Yeah.
Is there a Black History Month one?
Yes.
Yes.
It's
Why
one
is that
that
not showing?
Danielle put in.
Yeah,
but
I issues with the Google.
Yeah,
that's what
I
thought.
thought I put.
I said.
It's in here,
Intermediaries.
but I'm looking at the.
It's not on the
It's
thing
in
that I've
here,
got
it's
pulled up
just-
right now.
When it comes
So
back.
the intent is for it to be at this.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
it's like a Glendale-River.
It looks like it doesn't have a.
Oh,
Yeah,
got
if
it,
you
got it,
hover
got it,
over it,
got
it's
it.
like,
Okay.
in the second line of.
Diana added.
Okay, thanks.
It has.
Sorry.
And then there's one with no name.
Yeah.
And I think that one.
Could I ask for like a very logistical component of this, of like naming, like within the
Yeah.
context of them, naming the month that they're associated to,
Yes.
both in title and within the document?
Ooh, good.
So
Yes.
that would be a very helpful way for us to then also, and for Diana over here to like help send that acknowledgement through our communications to families and our communications to students, to student
Okay.
announcements, things like that.
All right, I'm on it.
I think I've seen some districts with good examples of how they kind of keep track as they.
And then you did a nice thing in one that you put the annual theme in the title, which I loved. So I added that to a couple of books that I did.
Take it out, because I didn't, Black History Month doesn't have one yet.
Oh,
Wait, like they won't announce it
Oh,
until
okay.
developmental disabilities too. It's like they don't announce it till like a
Okay.
little bit before. But that's a good, like, it could be a small agenda.
okay. And Anna, anyone else in here? Do you have any thoughts about these? I mean, we're sitting here hoisting these up the flagpole, right? And you're our superintendent and.
I do, I just have a comment and also logistical to Anna's point. At one point, there was a calendar, like a resolutions calendar.
I made that.
Yeah,
It was
if that could
like-
get tucked into this folder, I think that would be really nice.
Well, and the one we made though had some question, like, did we want to
Right.
add or things like that, so we could just.
And that was when we were thinking we would come at them each month and I had a fantasy that I would
Do
put
it the
them on
month
the
before.
second meeting of the month before and just hasn't happened. So this is next step. Actually, this is better, right? Okay, Katie.
I've just really enjoyed the evolution of this, and I also enjoy that the entire board supports these. because that was not the case when Daniel started pushing these through. So I do appreciate that, and I like that they will live in a place where our community can look at them. And see, here's what we value. To Karen's point, and to Daniel's point, I think they're kind of baked in already. Like, I don't know that we're necessarily saying that the teachers have to recognize these specific months and, you know, like, because they should be kind of doing this stuff all the time,
True.
to my mind.
Yes, but in the past, we have had like a
Right.
library, I mean, there is work
Right.
that
Well,
goes into this.
When it started, it was like, tell us what you're doing.
Yeah,
Cause we
Yeah.
didn't know if anything was being done,
Right.
you know, but
right. And now this is just, it's more baked in over the years, so I don't know that we necessarily that aspect of it, but I do see what you're saying.
Yeah, this feels less like a push now than it used to, right?
Yeah.
This feels more like a reflection of the work that's happening as opposed to like a push, like, hey, we really want you to, you know, like, when's it
Right.
gonna happen? So,
It's more of a, like, they can look at this and be like, hey, what, you know, like, what can I highlight this month for? That's how I see it, it's more of a, here's what you could highlight this month, as opposed to here's what you have to highlight, but you should be doing this anyway, you know, like.
so
I don't
I'll
see
read
it's
through
more-
them and look for mandate language if anything seems like off kilter. I'll adjust it to whatever we've been doing most recently, if that's okay with all. And then you'll have finals to look at before the next meeting to review for final adoption votes.
Ooh, I would add that with regards to that calendar, you know, one of the things that we could consider, you know, as this is something that, you know, we find essential to our identity, right? Is publishing a calendar is like, these are the special things. These are the special things that are recognized every month.
Right.
We can't recognize all of them every year, perhaps.
Mhm.
But keep track of when we have recognized certain things and then make sure we cycle through so there is pretty purposeful, like if it was important enough to land on the calendar, it's probably important enough to get a resolution, but maybe not everything gets a formal resolution every
Right.
year.
Right,
And then keep track so that we are cycling through
Yeah.
meaningfully and thoughtfully.
Yeah.
And maybe some things, you know, do, but
like some things that feel like they need to be elevated more in any particular year, yeah,
right.
I get it.
And I know parents, parents have wanted to do things for some, like, for like Hispanic Heritage Month, you know, like in the school too, so it's also a way to kind of tie in or invite community members to maybe volunteer, participate, or help us highlight, or come in to do it themselves, if that's a passion.
Okay, so it sounds like we're in good shape. I've got some marching instructions for a few things to do, and then they'll be back on the agenda next month for final review and vote on adoption. Any other comments, members?
I do, there are some for this month,
Right,
but we're still gonna wait and vote on those at the next meeting.
What month is
September.
Like last,
That's a line,
like
that's
the literacy
Yeah.
thing.
I mean, it's on our purview to do it, it's up to you as a board, obviously, but.
are you thinking, did I miss you, by the way? I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Suicide prevention, is that September?
Yeah. It's not. When our meeting goes in September, right? Next meeting.
That's true.
So we could just do it. It's okay.
Are you comfortable with waiting or? I understand Latinx is important. It's very important in the current climate to honor that need. We could.
Isn't that September 15th,
Yeah.
October 15th?
Yeah.
Oh,
right,
So we
Yeah.
still
Weird
do
one.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, and unfortunately, it's not noticed for a motion,
Okay,
so we can.
okay, that's pretty practical.
Thank you. We can't violate the law. All right, excellent. Thank you, everyone. On to 5A, staffing changes.
All right, the staffing changes that I'm bringing forward are staffing changes in support staff, which can be honored by the superintendent, on behalf of the board. However, I do want to make them transparent. There is a resignation of an Alexane Mansfield at Parkway Elementary School, that I'm recommending for approval. And then it would be the motion to approve the hiring of Megan Hunt is a K-5 paraprofessional, which is taking the place of Danica Hess, who's moved into the library paraprofessional role. And then Erica Lawrence as a special education paraprofessional at Parkway Elementary, and that position would fill the vacancy that Alex St. Mansfield left. So there's a direct one-for-one correlation there, and they are not new positions. I also am bringing forward that the opening of another paraprofessional position at Parkway. And so this is based on the special needs of students as well as new enrollment that has come in and the demonstrated need that we have for an additional paraprofessional. We will be seeking as a district to apply for transfer of service to help fund that position. So that will be the work that Kelly and Michelle Brown are going to work together to do to help support that, as we've had this now new transfer of service into our district that requires this need. So I'm asking for the approval of the resignation, the hires, and then also the establishment of another paraprofessional position at Parkway.
Okay, should we start with the resignation? There a motion?
I move to approve the resignation of Alex Mansfield.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay, motion by Chris Robinson, second by Katie Avalos to approve the resignation of Alex St. Mansfield, a sped para at Parkway. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Then the hires.
I move to approve the hiring of Megan Hunt, K-5 paraprofessional, and Erica Lawrence, special education paraprofessional at Parkway Elementary.
Second.
Any discussion? Once going twice. All right, motion by Danielle Bailey, second by Chris Robin to approve the hires of Megan Hunt and Erica Lawrence at Parkway. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. And then the position creation.
I move to approve the creation of a special education paraprofessional position at Parkway Elementary.
Second.
Any discussion?
I'm glad that we have a proactive way of funding this that will include that transfer of service. And my understanding of a transfer of service is that would be requested by the districts that these students came from.
Yes.
In order to support the need that was brought in to our district.
And allow us the ability to levy for that need.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do you, it's potentially cost neutral, or in terms of budget impact, it's not?
If we qualify for the transfer of service dollars, yes.
Okay.
Yes, okay, yes. Still demonstrated need that we have to meet though, right?
Right,
Yeah.
So what money is being transferred if they are enrolled with us from the beginning? This was exactly what I was gonna ask about, so thank you for bringing it up. Because I don't quite get it.
So if we're receiving a student from another governmental agency or school, we can put in for a transfer of service, right? So we're asking permission that then we have the authority to levy for that need versus the home district that the student had originally come from.
Okay,
Because basically the need is shifting from here to here, right?
is it because they're open enrollment as opposed to just being a new FTE?
No, it's just a new FTE that was an already established student with an already established need in another district.
Oh, I see, so you don't have to reestablish the need if you do the transfer of service.
It's allowing us to increase our revenue.
Yeah.
Limit.
Yeah,
Right.
so it allows us to increase our revenue limit to accommodate that new need that was once
Got it.
over here. Does that make sense?
As opposed to simply adding there, because having the new student already increases our revenue, right? Because we have a per student.
but they have a need above.
Yeah, the need.
What it
We have
is.
a sped number that we can add.
Yeah.
God, this is so complicated for them.
I can talk a little in detail too, if you want, about
Only
that
if you-
process.
First, you guys evaluate whether I need to know this.
Yeah, I think
How am I gonna
I think
remember it?
it's an important way
Yeah.
for us to try to remain cost neutral as we have needs, and we'll have requests that come to us as well for transfer of service as
Yeah.
our students move into other districts, but it is a mechanism to kind of basically have some of that funding work follow like
right.
follow the student from one place to the next essentially and move it from the other place.
So there's an efficiency too, because it
Yeah.
it allows you to avoid some of the evaluative work then, right? Or what is,
Not
what is the
necessarily.
Okay,
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work to apply for it too.
Ah.
I mean, it is, and there, I think in it. You know, as we'll talk about in our legislative updates, as we continue just to, we've, you know, received some increase in special education funding, but we know that that is a continued area of need for districts to be able to really fund and truly fund appropriately
right,
children's education that has special education needs. It is a mechanism by which to do that. It is a mechanism that hasn't, I don't think, been fully taken advantage of by districts, but it is now starting to be one that we are utilizing so that we can provide high quality service to our students. So
Right.
rather than us trying to pinch hit and not meet a student's need, we have an ability and a mechanism to try to seek the dollars to do that and do it well for that
Right.
student.
Right.
So that the continuation of service is truly a transfer and it isn't a student who's experiencing pay, if that makes sense.
right.
Yeah.
I'll try to wrap my head around it later.
Yeah.
In more, just the fiscal stuff is, it made it so complex and Byzantine.
There's some good supportive documents in the link.
Okay.
So-
Yeah.
All right, anything else on this? All right, there's a pending motion by Carmen Cromwell, second by Chris Robinson, to create a special education para position at Park Elementary. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Anna. Continuing hard work of staffing. All right, on to 5B, staff professional learning plan by Nestor One.
So I'm going to have Director of Teaching and Learning Jennifer Stick and Director of Student Services and Special Education Kelly Weisel. Please present the board with what we have planned for trimester one. This is for discussion and information, we really sort of drawing the links to the KPIs and how we're going to work to develop staff and meet those marks.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Was there passion for videos? These are messy. They'll say DLH, I just.
It's a mini Benny.
Okay, so Jenica and I wanted to put in front of you a start to our professional development plan for the school year. And you're gonna find that the layout is relatively loose and that's on purpose. So what we try to do is make sure that we're looking at professional development that's student-centered. That affirms our student identities, fosters positive outcomes for students, and develops students' ability to connect across lines of difference. And our work is really to support our educational community. So you'll see that our professional development doesn't just include staff. It also includes some of those parent university nights as well. And we really just looked at the first trimester. And again, it looks loose because it's really important that the professional development just doesn't occur on professional development days, that it also is embedded in our work. It's ongoing through our professional learning teams, within our staff meetings, at parent universities, all of the things. So you can kind of see laid out the first trimester, just sketched out where or when some of that learning is occurring. And we wanted to make sure that you saw how they align with our 4 pillars as well.
So really focusing on some of those KPIs, whole child, that rigor challenge and gap closure and school environment. So all of this is also based off of those school improvement plans too. So thinking about what the guiding coalitions and staff, the administrative team and the board as well this summer brought back for those KPIs and our goals. So everything was kind of framed around that, around our strategic plan. Really focusing in on a sense of belonging for students that Superintendent Young laid out so nicely at the beginning of the school year, and everyone has really taken that. And really digging in September around that SEL work, we'll be doing it at our PD day in October. And the following through with some of that, that parent university, with the building principals and staff. And then again in October, we'll continue that work, we'll also have that parent university around parents as partners in education, so don't focus on that there. And then in November, we kind of wrap up with some screen time and mental health for families and are going to work around those SEL standards. And then the teachers are working, around those pieces, with our staff meetings and PLTs and during some of our professional development time during those days. We're very excited.
I can tell.
Okay, I don't know where I am in the circle. Am I on Daniel?
That's me.
Okay, Daniel.
I love that you're giving yourself like flexibility and thinking holistically about the community too, so thank you for putting this together. So I'm processing it, but I like the PD days. What I wonder about PD days, are they like kind of like a choose your own adventure? Like such that it's like you pick what you wanna learn, so. Like, is there the potential for somebody to like sidestep, maybe, I don't know, the theme or something they're not into?
The answer is yes and no. So
Okay.
some professional PD days, we have differentiated opportunities. And sometimes they have a couple of those offerings that they can choose from, and some are mandatory based on their position or based on the need at the time.
Okay,
So it's a little bit of both.
okay,
And not every PD day will provide those differentiated offerings. We love those, but also sometimes there are just things we have to get through. And a differentiated PD day just may not fit the bucket for what those needs are. Our upcoming PD day is not a differentiated PD day. Our focus is really on relationships, doing kind of a qualitative analysis of relationships between staff and students, and then some focus work on the self-competencies. And then diving into student academic data, so it really is like a day of whole child growth and development. And a differentiated PD day will not be occurring in October, yes.
I noticed the science of reading starting in October, but that's not Act 20, right? That's not. Right, that's not the like,
Mandated Act 20.
yeah, is that different?
It is for
Okay.
our new staff, so we have some new staff members that
Okay.
do not have the training, whether in college or in a past district.
Okay,
So we do, like twice a month, we do have, class campus training, during their like 3 to 3:45 time.
oh, okay,
So
that's
that's
just like,
just
the
those
okay,
okay.
Got you.
Professional learning for our new staff.
okay. And I imagine somewhere you have like a map of the, like the things that are not part of your like PD days, like you, like. Do you like a visual where you see where all these other things are infiltrating, or is that just through like the other apparatus?
We have
Use, like,
a spreadsheet.
okay, okay, yeah.
Is it happening during like a PLT? Or
Right,
something?
okay, no, but I don't need to see how the sausage
Yeah.
is made, like, yeah, I just, I just imagine like.
What a great metaphor, that's just.
That's
beautiful.
what.
Good job.
you said, and what I said. Okay, no, I
didn't.
So Niall, so when you bring the second trimester, I'd just be interested in like maybe seeing like which things are actual just like for PD days. Well, actually, no, because you might be switching that up, right? Like you don't know necessarily what you're going to
Or,
be.
and some of these might live both in a PD day
Yeah,
and in
yeah,
a
yeah.
staff
Okay,
meeting.
never mind.
And in a parent university.
Right.
It might live across
Right.
all those things
Okay,
as
no,
well.
then I take it back.
Yeah, like our
Yeah.
relationship mapping will start in a PD day, but we'll follow up. with
Right.
a staff meeting and a PLT meeting
That's
because.
cool, I like that.
Students who may not have a relationship, then we have to do something. about
Yeah,
it. So we
yeah.
can't just leave it sit in a PD day.
Yeah,
We have to keep coming back to it.
Yeah.
To determine.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of how we're laying it out, so that it's not a one and done.
Right.
We're rotating.
And that's responsive to staff feedback you guys got, I think, like over the years that I've heard in terms of like. Talking about something and then never revisiting it, just
Right.
yeah.
And that lays with a strategic plan and the clarity too, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We're focusing in on that belonging, so
Yeah.
that's where we're going.
That's where everything goes.
Because everyone knows that. That's what we're
Right.
doing.
You guys are awesome. Thanks for this.
I don't have much to add. I love it. I wanna say, I love the vibe that comes from you guys. Just like I feel like there's sort of a centered quality to what's happening now. And, you know, but not rigid, which I really like. And I love that Parent University is part of this year's curriculum. It's something I've dreamed of for a really, really long time. Expert district staff leading education for parents and caregivers to be able to come into our house and make this their house. And I just feel, I feel like I'm exhaling that that's finally happening and hearing how you talk about it, the way you welcome it, instead of seeing it as like someone's gonna come in and tell us how to do our job. It's just such a different vibe, and I'm really, my cup is full from it. So thank you for making that happen. I want to come to the parent universities. Can I?
Yeah.
Can I help serve
Please
tables?
encourage others to come,
Yeah.
because our
Yeah.
RSVPs are a little low right now, and I think our
Well,
building,
you
Crystal loves our
Time
family.
to RSVP, I think I have till the 12th.
That's Friday.
Right.
So that's tomorrow. Do you have?
It's gonna have me waiting till the
Do you
last
have a
minute.
flyer with a QR code? Cause we could have it at the run walk.
Yeah.
Oh, on Friday.
There's gonna be, there are like
Sure.
120 signups for the run walk.
That's an excellent idea.
So if you could create a flyer with a
My
QR,
October one,
and then you could, we can put them at the sign-in spot, right at the front of our place. And tell people, make sure you sign up. And then I'll try to,
We could even put them on like those if there's crosswalks, we could on a stand, we could just say, scan this here and.
Mhm.
Yeah.
okay.
So we're planning a dinner that night, and so dinner is, we're trying to kind of get an RSVP count, because we're not really sure how to plan, and so I'm just gonna apologize in advance if we run out of food, because there's so many people, that would be like my dream.
Yeah,
Right.
Not because I want people to go home hungry, but because I want more people to be there, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So each of us should get on social media.
Sure.
If we
Yeah.
can.
What's
Right,
for
the one-
dinner? Sometimes that'll.
I believe.
Jets?
that's what you're saying.
What,
It's
pizza?
pizza, it's pizza.
But it's
Do we
free,
have like a
right?
salad or something for gluten for celiac, like you talked about that?
And then will you have,
Two carbs.
will you have babysitting?
Not at this first one,
Okay,
not at this first one, and subsequent ones, we're gonna be working with Nicolay.
Yes, bring those high
And
school.
our National Junior Honor Society students
Right.
to try to work on, and we're meeting with PTO, so I'm gonna talk to PTO, so.
okay.
We need a little coordination and thinking about how,
Uh-huh.
like, how young can we take students?
Right.
Or, you know, like, can we do school age, like, do we have students who are responsible enough?
Babysitter training.
I should be a partner collab over here.
And I know, also I was like,
Oh.
or I know other people who have infant experts.
You know, cross fertilize.
Yeah, yeah.
I love it.
Yep.
I just love it. So I'll try to do my part to get some of the word out, but tomorrow is a great chance to catch people. And even if you get some low turnout for the first couple sessions, you may find that, you know.
Will they be accessible after the fact?
Oh, yeah,
Will they
we
be
video
either
them.
recorded or?
I know with the planning that I've been doing with coaches, we talked about having QR codes for each session, so with slide decks, it's not a record.
So like they're gonna be like food researchers, people working together. Well, okay, then one suggestion might be like it for some of them down the line is if maybe it's even like a video or a primer that's like. It gives more context than slides. You know, so it's like, oh, you couldn't attend, well, okay, like here's a 20-minute, like some, you know, or whatever, 10-minute, people will watch what, 5 minutes? I don't know, but do you know what I mean? Like something that's not just slides, but might like, people will feel like, oh, okay, like I don't know. Just thought.
Okay, Chris.
I kind of laughed internally when you called it, Kelly, a loose thing, because I see it's very detailed. But it also communicates a value of learning and a value of the people who are learning. And that's really nice. Thank you.
I agree with what Chris said, and also recognizing that these are people that you're working with, so it needs to be a little bit loose. Because schedules are flexible and, you know, like maybe Parkway has a really rough week this week and this isn't gonna work out, so we can do it next week, it's not, you know. I like that, because also when you set things on the schedule, then sometimes you end up skipping things because there's a rough week at Parkway, okay, well, we're just not doing stuff, I like this a lot.
That's an interesting, because I interpreted that as being flexible enough to respond to what the needs that come up over the course of the year, to understand like we actually need to enrich this a little bit more, we need to focus on this over here. Which is an ongoing conversation in my own workplace where, you know, there's a need both to be able to plan out longitudinally, so you have the time to get the content developed. And also staff are like, ugh, we really want this piece and we just learned about it and we need it by like whatever. What I really love though, that you were just discussing, is that spiral reinforcing structure. And I feel like our kids benefit from that. Repetition is key to learning for everybody. And so I'm really excited that that's the structure that you guys are utilizing, and that it's a spiral, as Carla spoke to, multidimensionally. So really, like, everybody's gonna be involved, have the opportunity to touch in that moment, in that topic. So that's great. And I loved that you guys sorted them by the pillars so that you can really see, like, we are doing this work. It is being carried through. This is very intentional design. So thank you, because this is an extraordinary amount of work just to come through.
Yeah. It is.
I'm kind of fascinated by the concept of your spreadsheet.
The sausage factory.
I think some of their spreadsheets help one, but
But
They
to
just-
put that in context, they think this is messy.
Loose. All right, do we need a break now, or do you wanna take it
Oh,
after?
Michelle had a.
Oh, sorry.
So sorry, can I
Oh,
just
go ahead.
add a little bit? We have worked, Glendale Heights has worked very closely with the K4 program. Our teachers go there. I think this would be really nice if I could get this to start getting our K3 group, our pandas and tigers, we call them, to get them excited about Parkway, because we do have some families that are on the, you know, do we go to university school now? We have the college campus is getting changed over. We got people talking about that.
Mhm.
And I would be really excited to know more about the unit. I don't have a child here.
Are you talking about the parent university?
Yeah.
Oh, so you could get a flyer to you.
Is there any
Oh,
way
beautiful.
I could get it?
Yes,
And send it
yeah.
out of our
Thank
Panda Tigers,
Yeah.
because I think if we can get them excited and to see what you guys are starting to offer by having this, because they like it when we had little mini nights and they could learn about development for their child. Their parents are really excited to know that our teachers took Writing Without Tears training, so that's what Parkway is doing, so we can work with them and we can go, they're not learning this and then having to relearn something. So I really think if possible, I would be really excited to even make little postcards and put them on all of our Tiger Panda lockers for sure. I would put them on our raccoons or the K4 groups that are already at Parkway, to get them excited and to get them to start getting their foot involved with you guys, because I see excitement with this board, with you guys doing this. I'm excited about this university. I don't know anything about it. I wish I had a child that I could be involved with it. You're welcome. But I
I mean, it's open to community,
Well,
right?
to that
Yeah.
point though, that's something to think about down the line about like parent or like what other topics might involve caregivers or more than parents, but like be enticing to community members that also apply to our families, right?
So this way, I mean,
Yeah.
instead of being, you know, we're the first step for some new families and then they move out too.
Yeah.
But if we can get them excited to stay here
Mm-hmm.
by this, so I'm willing to.
Thank you.
Do whatever you guys want
you.
and I could get that going.
Appreciate it.
I saw her write down a note. And they
That's
go,
right, right.
yeah.
When is the first meeting?
First.
I think Parkway's first meeting is on Tuesday, which I would probably send you the Parkway information, because they're gonna do them separately for this first one, but then the following one is in October, but I can get you the one for Parkway. I'll send it
Okay,
over.
that would be great. I would really be excited to get it going.
Thank you. Should we take a break, or do we want to get through the legislative updates? Ready?
Because then we have closed session, could we just?
Okay.
Down the way to close.
Thank you, Jenica. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. We just kind of right down the way to close.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Kelly.
You got it.
All right, on to item 5C, legislative update. I think there's Swiss stuff. That happened, right? Some Swiss information.
Yeah, there was a meeting.
Yes. I can start first. During my superintendent meeting, with CISA one, during our PAC meeting, Dr. Underly came and talked a little bit about sort of the DPI strategic plan and sort of restructuring that DPI that has occurred. They're trying to become more efficient as an organization. They've been working, I think, during her last term on a strategic plan, so they've identified that strategic plan, and I've laid it out in here, so you can take a look at it. There's more information on their website, but that kind of percolated up in that meeting, and then Katie and I both were at the Swiss meeting. I don't know, Katie, key takeaways for you?
Sure, like the first, probably 2/3 of the meeting were, kind of a debate. There was kind of two schools of thought about if we should be thanking the legislatures for the increase in spend funding, or if we should not be thanking them,
Yeah.
but finding a different way to word it.
Mhm.
The suggestion was thanking them for recognizing the gap between funding
Mm.
between special ed for us and for choice schools. That was,
Right.
and that was the big push there from. She's like the liaison between us and the legislature. That was her recommendation, because we don't wanna give them too much credit, but she did say there's a lot of bipartisan back patting on this particular issue, which is not great for us. And that it was a definitive choice of theirs to not increase general funding,
Right.
that they're trying to get away with something, basically. And then the last third was about the report that
Yeah.
Anna has attached.
Yeah, so,
I'll let her do that, because I was kind of in and out.
Yeah, and I appreciate Katie trying to navigate work and at the same time, because I know how that can go sometimes. They had a guest speaker, Sarah Shaw, and she was from the Wisconsin Policy Forum, and she spoke on the Wisconsin Education Funding Report, which I've attached to the item for you to review. Really taking kind of a deep dive look at this policy forum and how spending in the state of Wisconsin in comparison to some of our close partner areas has been on the decrease for a pretty significant time. And really thinking about just how we're sitting below the US average right now. I think we're ranked 26th now, if I'm
Yeah.
remembering correctly off the top of my head, in terms of per pupil spending. So you know, some of the pieces in there was really looking at getting back to sort of the case that was being made around looking at this last biennium budget, although there were some increases in the special education funding and there was the $325 increase.
Right.
That doesn't necessarily meet the inflationary need that is there. So without that general per pupil spending and an increase in that aid, really what that ends up doing is forces districts to have to go back to their taxpayers, right? And the taxpayers are gonna end up holding the burden of the fact that we are still experiencing these rising costs and what it takes to transport kids, purchase gas, heat our buildings, like everyone else in this world who is experiencing inflationary increases. So those are some really good pieces in here in terms of looking at some of the rankings that have gone on. A direct correlation between spending and achievement isn't necessarily something that can be made, but you know, thinking about needs that are there, I think are important, and you know, taking a look at that. Another key area of legislation that is about to go up that Swissa would like backing and support behind is to be around retirees being able to come back to work. And so as we face teacher shortages and having the ability to bring back retirees into the fold might be a critical way to deal with that shortage for people who are willing to do that.
In particular, in light of the legislation that was signed yesterday by our president, I believe, that removed retention and teacher training funding.
Yeah, so we just want to make sure that we're being cognizant of kind of the playing field that we're in, right?
Yeah.
In terms of being able to recruit and retain talent. So those are the updates that we get.
The question I always have when we look at state to state comparisons on spending is whether that's based on the levy limit or whether it takes into account the passage of referenda.
She took into account all of those components.
Oh, okay,
In
so that's,
in this particular study, I believe, if I remember correctly from her presentation, and I would have to go back and I can look at the presentation, but I believe she did account for some of those pieces.
so we're 26th, even after
Yeah.
passage of referenda.
I believe.
Yeah. And I think what's, we're gonna come into referendum cycle soon, right? And when I think about taxpayers and voters, I know it took me a long time to try to wrap my head around, and again, I think it's intentional, is that you have state legislatures touting increases in spending. But the cap hasn't changed, right? And so they might be throwing more money in, but we still have to go back to voters to ask for enough to serve our students appropriately. And I just find the conversation so difficult to articulate plainly about why increased state spending doesn't mean more money for our students. I continue to struggle with that, and it's something, we get all this information, it's helpful, but when I ask myself, like, how do I imagine myself in a town hall, like we're all sitting there taking questions. This is not gonna. These forum documents don't help educate an angry voter who's like, I don't wanna pay more in taxes. You know what I mean? So that's the kind of stuff I've been, like, as I digest this, I ask myself, how do I use this to help inform advocacy locally and advocacy at the state level?
Yeah.
And I just don't have answers. I just need to stick on it.
I think there's some good nuggets, like I think part of it is like thinking about how our tax burden's actually going down personally.
Yeah.
But the state is getting like for education, but the state, did they get a lot more in taxes this year, like than they?
They did, didn't they?
Right, so
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
but your taxes are going up, but it's not because it's coming to us.
Right.
Primarily, and then even with the referendum, so I think that there are some
Yeah.
ways in where it's like, you used to be okay spending this much, and now you're spending less, I don't know, state gets more, schools get less.
Yeah.
Well, there's
And
some
she does point out it's getting late, remember, it's the COVID money.
Right.
I think
COVID money is
that
coming, yeah.
kind of made this gap less impactful for several years, and now everybody's.
And we've talked about the fiscal cliff before, and that
Yeah,
is part of
right.
it. So you had something to kind of be a cushion for a few years that has now gone away, and so you're feeling the impact of inflation pretty drastically.
Yeah. Well, this is helpful.
Yeah. thanks for
Chris, any thoughts?
How about this note?
Maybe, we're gonna be circling back to all this stuff, I think, a lot in the coming months.
Yeah.
Well, and probably next week.
Actually,
Yes.
I did, I'm sure the answer is gonna be yes, but is there an organized, this should go into a folder around financial data that we can use and reference and,
Yeah, there's an within our board a resource, there's an advocacy folder, so there's talking points around fiscal components in there, and I'll slide this in there as well. Yeah, beautiful, yep. And I don't believe that Swiss has really updated any of their key talking points right now around funding, that's all pretty consistent to where we were before, but I'll double check and make sure there's been no edits there.
I'm talking about those, we used to be, I believe, fifth.
right,
In 2002, we were
in
fifth.
funding.
Oh, right, yeah.
And we're now with there's like
Now we're at
5
20
states,
now we're at
we're
26.
we're with like Texas and Arizona and a couple other
Yeah.
states that have increased funding for, and private and charter.
Yeah.
We moved here to Wisconsin in 2006. And one of the only reasons we considered Wisconsin was because of public schools. Because the robust funding, the robust, this robust public school system, it's where K-5 was invented. Look at this amazing school district I found, Carla, I remember Anthony saying, look, it does look like the world more, look at the demographics, yay. And we came here and then, kaplooey.
You had a good run.
Yeah.
We're having
It's
a
not
good run.
representative of your experience in the district.
Yes,
No, you know what I mean, like when I think about,
We're the
I feel it
recruiter.
very viscerally, the change in the funding map
Right.
for Wisconsin
Yeah.
as a state, right?
Well, and schools can be the center of their community and they promote strong community, and there's a high level of value that they bring to people wanting to be a part of communities.
Right.
Yeah.
So as much as a personal text, like there's that trade-off, right? Like what that means for an individual, what that means for local control, what that means for state control, and federal control, right? Like so all of those questions become a part of how we run a public entity.
Okay, thank you, Katie, thank you, Anna. On to item 6A, closed session. There is a proposal that we go into closed session. Would anybody like to make a motion?
I move to recess into closed session per section 19.851C, considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, specifically to discuss professional and support staff compensation.
Is there a second?
Second.
There is a motion by Karen Cromwell, second by Danielle Bailey to go into closed session, etc. I have to do a roll call vote. Chris Robbins. Aye. Katie Avalos. Aye. Karen Cromwell.
Aye.
Danielle Bailey. And Carla Pennington Press says aye. We are officially in closed session. Hopefully there's a brief break to roll over. Slow walk to Anna's office. Or a beignet. Oh my God. Open session, there is no action to be taken. On to board preview and planning. Then we've got PTO and foundation meetings tomorrow, and it is 9/11. How many years has it been? 24 years?
Yeah.
40 years. Day after tomorrow is the foundation run walk. Anyone who wishes to join me from 3 o'clock forward and setting up the glow run is welcome. 32 balloons, 800 tea lights, and 114 fairy light strings to set up.
I can probably be there by 4:30. I have not heard.
I know there's a whole park full of middle school girls and.
Awesome, awesome.
I'm their pickup.
Awesome, thank you, thank you.
Great bug spray.
Oh, I will have ton, I will have bug spray, I'm gonna give Marshall's cans of bug spray, cause it's gonna be pretty bad. Parent University's coming up on the 16th and 18th. I see something on here about the 19th, K4 sponsored play.
Played it at Parkway Playground. I think it's 6.
I'm not sure, I couldn't find a time.
I think it's 6 on the I think it's 6.
Clarify.
And then 2 other items for preview and planning, I think appropriately. Chris had brought up an idea of a WASB resolution relating to some immigration enforcement issues. And I didn't get on the agenda for today, but Danielle reminded me that in prior years, when Ben was our designated delegate, which you are, and he asked for the board's permission to do things, we had a clear answer, which was you don't need our permission, you are our delegate.
But WASB requires that you put the date of the meeting where the resolution was passed.
Oh, WASB requires
This
this.
for voting.
But you don't need our approval to create the resolution.
But she would have needed our vote in order
Yeah.
to, when is that due?
It's due at the end of the week, I think.
Oh.
Do you, I
Can I
mean,
call?
if you want us to, we could schedule a special Zoom session on Friday. I mean, I wanna honor your
Well,
ask,
I mean, I don't know how important it is, I don't know how relevant it is for our district. It was just an idea I had that I hope somebody would, somebody in Wisconsin would advocate for.
well, you're a member of our board and it's an.
I know, I'm not sure what Anna thinks about this, because it would bring undue kind of attention to us in a way.
Or due attention. Open argument.
Well, and then of course, the devil's advocate answer to that is having a district that doesn't have major issues here in this, on this subject, having that districts step forward and support justice is a nice act of solidarity. Right. But
The other side of that though is that these WASB resolutions are like kind of like. We'll do this, I feel like, you know, it's like they don't tend to like go anywhere, because we've talked about with like WASB's advocacy skills and like track, you know what I mean, it's like. It's like we can express our beliefs and our opinions, and that's
Yeah.
kind of what it is, but I don't know if it has a tangible effect. Other than maybe, like you said, to like ally yourself
Yeah,
with
to,
other
you know.
districts or make connections that way.
Yeah, I mean, I
suppose.
feel like they spend most of the time on state legislation. There
Right.
is a section on federal,
Yeah.
you know, in the book or whatever, but I don't know how much attention that gets, and I don't know how much,
But if you
where it
want,
would go.
if you wanna do this, I am very happy to honor it. We could set up a special Zoom session. To discuss it on Friday morning.
I would
I mean, I don't know what.
I think your time would be better suited, like perhaps if an issue arises in a district in Wisconsin. Where we might wanna offer like a statement of public or like a support or a
Mhm.
resolution supporting something.
In real
that we
time
could-
for a specific
Yeah, that we
story
could
that
like
arises.
publicize, you know,
Yeah.
like to a greater community would reach more people other than like the delegates in
Yeah.
that room, if it
Yeah.
never makes it out of that room,
Right.
so.
Yeah.
I love it, I just think like we look for an opportunity to make it count as much as.
What do you want, Chris? What do you want us to do?
I just wanna do what everybody wants to do. You know, I brought it up because I thought of it, but it's up to the board and I want to hear what Anna has to say.
I wanna honor your
I
ask.
will do a special meeting
I'm not
too.
sure that we pause till that Anna responds.
Oh,
I guess I don't know enough about exactly, I mean, I know the general idea behind it and the moving towards it, I guess I'd like to Danielle's point, I do think that it's. I don't know where that goes, right? Like, and not say that it shouldn't be done though, right? Yeah, I think I kind of share that view. I worry about timing right now, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
my practicality concern
Yeah.
coming forward.
I
And
don't
you would
think
still
it's,
be able-
with the beginning of the year, I don't think it's worth putting an extra meeting together.
Okay, then you would still be able to bring it to the board, right? I mean, to the floor in January, if you said there was some.
I think there's some that I haven't investigated, some way of late breaking issue, and a late breaking issue could be
Yeah.
more
Yeah,
presence in the area.
Yeah.
okay. You're okay?
I'm okay.
Okay. I kind of feel like I'm not apologizing, but I kind of feel like I dropped this ball because you brought it to my attention. I just forgot about it as I was thinking through agendas, so.
Opposite of that.
And then the other thing I wanted to bring up was the idea of a November workshop. If people are interested or willing, we had talked about. Whether, I think you brought it up, right? Danielle's been talking about setting like sort of short-term clear goals or.
Board improvement plan.
Or it, right, or as Anna has suggested an idea I love, which is revisiting our norms, this document that was written before this board was formed. And thinking about whether we want norms or whether we want to set commitments for ourselves, like a handful of commitments. So if we had a November workshop, I was thinking it could be a space where we look at the strategic plan, the KPIs, maybe we look at school improvement plans, we look at our norms. And we ask, are there a simple set of commitments, simple meaning, not a lot of words, not, like a set of commitments that we can make about our work as a board that can support all this other work, right? Sort of goals and improvement plans. So if you guys are interested in something like that, if not November would be the time.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I'm in.
Yeah.
Do you prefer a date now or?
Yeah, should we think about it? It's November. Our meetings are on the 5th and the 19th, so.
And the 26th is spring, so we pretty much have to be the 12th, which is Wednesdays.
Or could you put it? Oh, no, that's probably too much to do.
So we could,
November 12th.
how does that work for everyone?
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay, I'll get that into our calendar.
so sort of a board goal setting.
Sorry, something distracted me.
Oh, okay.
It's not actually silent as acquiesce.
All right, Anyone else? Anything?
Yeah, just a real quick note, we have our board budget workshop on 9/17 next week, so. Just making sure if the board has any specific, and we'll probably send some questions over, if anybody has specific things that they're in a space, like I really wanna know this. Michelle and I are kind of working to finalize that this week, and so.
Okay.
I think like I have a pretty good read on where we need to go, we can always try to answer things on the flags, but maybe we'll just have an area too, to maybe have some unresolved questions that we continue to answer as we walk through things. And then just a reminder about our 10-1 workshop around policy, Karen, you sent me pieces, Carla sent me pieces, so I'll organize all of the policy questions in here too.
Okay.
I don't
Okay,
think we have a
Did
deadline
we have a deadline for, no, I thought we did, like
For
for
getting
getting
comments.
getting stuff to you for.
on
I
policy.
mean, we're workshopping it, so I would say as long as I can get them by the 31st, I can put them into the document, so it's not like I have to.
Oh,
Here, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
like that gives me time to bring that document forward, so we can be reminded of all those things as we walk through the policy and workshops, so it's a little less pressure there.
I did not find the review overwhelming
Okay.
at all.
Okay.
The changes were not,
It was well formatted and.
yeah, and
Yeah.
clear.
And in case anyone else is wondering, green highlights struck through are new ads that are not being recommended.
There are options.
Oh, okay, okay, rejected options,
As,
got it.
as usual, a lot of my comments are about like policy that's not being changed, and I'm like, oh, look at that. Sweet.
Yep.
You have to go.
Okay.
All right, final.
Adjourn.
Second.
Sorry.
Motion by Daniel Bailey, second by Karen Cromwell, all in favor? Aye. We off the air? No. I gotta look.
Thanks, Anna.
Thank you, Anna. Sorry we ran late.
Oh, that's okay, that's okay.
No apologies, we did important work.